Hi everyone. Hello. Hello. I am so excited to be here with you today. And I wanted to make sure that I can see, I'm working with a different software this time, so I should be able to see your comments. So if you would, maybe give me a thumbs up or say hello or something so that I know, I can see that a few of you are on here, so I just want to be able to see that I can see your comments, because if you have any questions or something today, I want to be able to answer those and check in with you. So let me see if anybody's got that. Oh, I see a hello. Awesome. Barbara, great. You can see me. Fantastic. Now there is a slight delay. So sometimes I may kind of pause to see if you have any comments, or I'll look to see if there's something that's happening in the feed, because I want you to feel free to make comments or ask questions as I go along. So, hi Pia, great to see you. Well, to see that you're on here. And okay, let's see here. So today, what was really important to me is just giving you the opportunity to I wanted to take in what you had put in. Some of you put in some comments about where you are at right now. And so I really wanted to show you and let you know that I didn't forget you. I take that seriously when you comment on something. So I'm going to talk about those things today. Sarah, great to see you. So glad you're able to join today. So what today is about is going to basically show you, here I'm going to give you the title page, the 3 strategies you need to elevate your business. And there's 3 systems that I use within my floral business that I used for years and implemented and changed as I went along, but adapted within business to make it something that was profitable for me. So that's really where I want it to be for all of you. Is the whole reason and premise around what I'm doing with the Floral Business Academy is to elevate you as a business owner, as a creative, because you got into it because you loved being creative, right? You enjoyed flowers as your medium or the design part of it, but we're in business. So we got to treat it like a business, and often the business side takes a back seat because we're so interested in what we're creating. So I just want to kind of go over things with you and encourage you. And there were a few of you that wrote in comments, and for sure, that part was what I really wanted to focus on. And it's a little bit of a different way, but I noticed how some of you have, where you struggling how to go out and source work during the pandemic. Pia, I think that was about you. Yes, you opened up your business and then COVID happened. How do I go about that? Then another one was about being a full service florist and, different types, and, still trying to navigate what does that mean? How many things, what kind of things can I put and activate my business? And Barbara, here for you too, when you're out of the lockdown, how are you going to get more leads? That's a big question. Most of these questions were around marketing and sales. So I think, to me, that is really huge, right? That's the biggest part. We can create a beautiful product, but if we don't have the people that are going to buy it, we're just doing a hobby. So in that, I wanted to talk about, most of you know and seen that there are some pillars that are kind of key to what I think business is. And this is part of what I'm going to talk about today, but you have to, if you want to elevate your business, you have to have an elevated mindset around it. You have to have elevated sales and marketing, and you have to have elevated systems and processes. So, but that is really, is essentially what I'm trying to get at. Now, today, what the systems that I'm talking about here are going to be really focused around your elevated sales and marketing and your systems and processes around those two. So those are the biggest things there. And Pia, great, thank you. I'll note your question and then I'll be able to come back to it, because I think that's going to be what's important, is where you're at, where you want to go, and who you're trying to work with. So thank you for posting these questions about where you're at and where you're struggling, because that really helps me know where I can kind of jump in and give some suggestions based on how I was able to succeed. And, I didn't stick around for 33 years doing this without having some ups and downs. So I want to be able to share how it worked for me. So there are three, after those three key pillars, it kind of, like I said, it overlaps. And I'm going to be using my notes too, because I wrote a lot of notes. I didn't want to forget some things that I think are really important for you. But you have to have clear systems in order to implement the strategies that you want to have in your business. And once you have those systems, they're kind of a repeatable step-by-step process for getting to your goals. And they're in each of the three areas that I'm going to share, okay? So the first system that's really key is your marketing system. So to clarify, there is a huge difference between marketing and sales. In marketing, you're generating an awareness, you're positioning yourself and you're creating value, and you're looking to generate leads. So it's the first part of your business before you even get to the sales. And I know a lot of people are normally trying to mix the two, right? Marketing and sales, marketing and sales. And there is such a huge difference in how you approach those two systems. In a marketing system, you're going to want to be thinking about how you're creating awareness, how you're positioning yourself, how you're giving value, and how you're going to be able to generate those leads, right? So it's the first part. And then you also want to be, this is why you want to kind of absolutely know what you want, or how to create consistent leads and content have to be paramount in this. What do I mean by that? Well, you have to figure out how you want to consistently show your authority, your connection, your engagement with your audience. For some of you, it might be doing Instagram Lives. For others, it might be going and doing a blog post, and you're kind of talking about what your specialty is within your floral business. You can talk about your knowledge around designs. That's kind of positioning you with authority. And, you have to have that complete system in your business and how we put it together to get the marketing out to your audience, okay? So when you're thinking about your business, think about, what are you doing on a consistent basis to generate that awareness, to build the authority, and to position yourself? How do you create value for your potential clients? It could be that you're doing that, like I said, you're doing an IG Live, you're doing a how-to video, or you're creating a PDF that is like how to take care of houseplants, for example. Or if your concentration is more on wedding and events or weddings, let's say, then it's about how do you plan for your wedding floral budget. You're going to give them something so that they have something to go by, correct? It gives them a little bit more to go on. For instance, if you're, Pia, if you're looking at hotels and restaurants, they are struggling right now. But you want to talk about, maybe you're talking about how hotels and restaurants can maximize their decor during times like COVID, What if you're talking about that? What if you are scheduling your content so that it's coming out on Instagram Live or your Instagram post 3 to 5 times a week? You want to talk about those types of things with them. That's kind of like the foundation of doing your marketing system. So how do you come up with those ideas? That's where, if you have current clients, or if you're trying to go after that, like for instance, Pia, what you're talking about, you want to think about their pain points and their challenges, right? So one of their biggest challenges right now is that they're trying to figure out, I don't have any money for a decor budget. What about if you offered them something that had a mix of drieds with longer lasting fresh things, so that something that they would have normally spent, every week getting a different arrangement, how can I maximize that so that maybe once every 2 weeks there's a delivery? Giving them options so that they can feel confident, like realizing, okay, if I go with Pia, then that means that she's got some really great ideas that I can implement and still have decor here at my hotel, but yet it's not going to, cost me as much as when it did before, when I was doing it every week. It's interesting. When I decide to go live, that's when the trash company comes and they're backing up here. So anyway, okay, so that's how you kind of choose it. It's like, what are their struggles? What are their pain points? And you want to speak to that. You also want a system or process for someone once they become a lead. So like, what is your nurture sequence like? So if someone, let's say some hotels were interested or some restaurants were interested, and they signed up on your website to download your, money-saving tips for hotels and restaurants during COVID. They signed up for your PDF download. How would you handle that after that? Do you have an email sequence where you're not selling, you're just marketing? You're offering more ways to provide connection and engagement and authority on what you do. So what I'm getting at is, once someone becomes interested in you and you have the opportunity to get their email, how do you nurture them? How do you bring that out in them? It builds that know, like, and trust factor. So once they get your email list, on that, then you can start to do that. Now, an email marketing sequence is leading them to a specific action, whereas if you're doing a nurture sequence, you're just kind of talking about what you do or about what things that they're interested in. That's what's giving you that. So it's a repeatable process, though. What I'm really trying to get at is that this system are things that it's repeatable. It's something that you can be doing on a regular basis. You have a process around it so that it makes it easier for you to implement. And it also makes it easier for you to be able to share with someone if you can afford, or you have someone that's on your team that can help you with it. That having that in place makes it so much easier for them to take it and help you with it. So you want to make sure when you're thinking about with your marketing systems or system, you definitely want to be thinking about, what does your customer journey look like? So what do I need to do? What are the steps that someone needs to take in order to go from finding you online and becoming a lead to becoming a paying customer, and then also referring new customers to you? So what's that journey look like? So I want you to kind of take a step back, think about that customer journey, and then look on top of it. What does it look like? Where are hurdles? Do you have any breaks in that chain right now? Or is it all set up and ready to go? So that's where you want to take a look. You have to get clarity about what they're thinking of. And then what's the journey? If they're at a certain point in the journey, this is most likely what's going on with them. Because I want you to just think about this. This takes some thinking, on your part. If you haven't thought about who your ideal customer is, Pia, it sounds like you already have an ideal customer for you. This is where you want to go and head. So you really need to think about putting yourself in their shoes. How would they be feeling at certain points in your nurture sequence? So you want to be very clear about the next action that you want them to take. You want them to, do you want them to purchase your floral designs for a personal order? Barbara, that's more probably what your setting is. Sarah, I think you are doing the same thing, right? Are you filling personal orders, Sarah, or are you actually doing more with events, or are you doing specific kind of subscription type business? Put a note there in the comments and let me know. Melanie, it's so good to see you here. Mel, what is you have a shop, right, where people have walk-in traffic, and do they come in and do they just go ahead and, can they purchase from you pick up or in delivery, and are you doing events as well? Okay, Sarah, events only. I see. So for you, they're inquiring about the wedding decor. Now, some couples and brides wait, right? If a bride knows that she might be getting engaged, she might already be looking and searching. And then if that's the case, then you're going to have a nurture sequence that kind of talks about your wedding work. And, once they give you an email, then you're going to be talking about, okay, where does that work for me? Does that seem like they're going to, what's the most interesting thing to them? The most interesting thing to them is, okay, I need to have I know that budget pricing is huge. That's of interest to them. How can you talk about pricing with them? How can you talk about choosing the perfect decor to match the venue that they're at? There's so many ways you can go down that lane with them to nurture them. And then Mel, okay, so they come in, you do retail, they come in, and then you have online orders, events, and weddings. So you're full service, right? So I had different processes for those depending on what they were, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in my next section, Mel, because I had both as well. So, and Barbara, okay, you're filling personal orders, but you want to expand to the gun club, local spa, prestigious hotels close by. Okay, so you're wanting to expand. So you just have to decide where you want to go, and you have to start thinking about how you want to market to that particular section, okay? How am I going, what pain points, what things are going to be of interest to them, and how can I speak directly to that when I'm creating consistent content? Then once you have them in, once they're kind of showing some interest, how can you nurture that till they're ready to make a sale? Because normally it's going to take, if someone's doing more of a subscription or wedding or retails, sometimes it takes 6 or 7 touches, with you for them to feel confident and to build that know, like, and trust factor. So I think that's what's going to get you the comments after something's been delivered, because they're going to go, oh my gosh, I loved this arrangement, or I loved the personal attention to detail that, Mel did, or I love how Barbara just was able to take my vision and, for sending to my friend, and oh my gosh, it's just so beautiful. I couldn't have imagined it even better. Those are the kinds of things, and that's how they're going to refer you. So in essence, that's where you want to be. You want to be very clear. Now, once you do that, you're going to start being able to, I want you to be able to do things that show you what kind of data and to see if your marketing is working, right? So you want to be able to do that so that you can adjust your strategies if it's not working. So I want you to be, and I know it sounds complicated, but it really isn't. It's just a matter of putting a thought process around how you want it to be. Okay? So I'm going to repeat it again. And I want to say that, how do you generate awareness for this system, you need to generate awareness, you need to create authority and position yourself, as well as creating value. So those kind of 4 things are really important there. How do you do those things? How are you going to generate the leads? And once they become a lead, how are you going to nurture them and get that? So what does that look like all the way around? Now, what does the nurture sequence look like? All of this is led by an understanding and thinking about your customer journey, okay? Having clarity on where your target market audience is, and then, you know, what they're going through and what they're thinking about. So it's just kind of like an overview of that. Again, I just want to repeat because it's really important that you get that. And you have to be very clear on the next action you want them to take. Okay? So the next one is your sales system. Okay, so the second system is about the sales. And, you know, a lot of people say that marketing, you know, is me selling as well. But, you know, I'm here to tell you that it's not. Marketing is the attraction and sales is how you convert the lead to a sale. So they're 2 different things. Don't get that mixed up. How do you sell your products? Some of you, it's going to be on your website. Some of you, it's a walk-in thing. Some of you, it's a consultation. And some of you are going to be on a sales call, like over the phone. Each of those things have a system or a process around it. Have you ever taken the time to kind of sit down and go over how those processes work? Are they, you know, are they documented? You know, like for instance, if someone calls my shop and I answer, how do I answer the phone? Am I saying my name? Am I saying good morning, good afternoon? If someone, then do I immediately just start in and like ask them, you know, thank you so much for calling. How can I help you today? Or is there something that I can help you with? Thanks for calling. Are you waiting for them to say something? And then how do you lead them through that process to make that sale? Are they guiding you or are you guiding them? That's a huge process right there. So that's a system. Think about it, document it, and then think about how you want to do that. Is it working? Are you able to get them to up-level their order? Are they telling you how much they're going to spend? Or are you telling them your prices? Same thing goes with your consultations. If you are having a consultation in your sales, you know, it's about, you know, when you have that with your sales, you know, for the consultation, when they come in and they sit down at the consultation, there's a process around that. There's a process that I used for years on how I worked my way through a consultation. So much that I knew that there were certain triggers that I knew if they were going to buy or not. Before they would walk out that door, I already had an inkling if they were going to be a person that was a sale, or if I need to nurture them a little bit even after the consultation, or if all I had to do was just book them. So there's like little triggers that happen, right? Oh, Pia, you learned from Tim Huckabee. Absolutely. Floral Strategies. I used his Floral Strategies process for sales in my shop for probably 15 years, 15 out of my 33 years, and absolutely, hands down, the best way. I trained all my employees to be able to sell that way. And we can go over some of that too in here if people want to do it, but Tim has a great process there, and it works. So, you know, if they have them call you, I'm going to say you have a process for the sale of the phone, consultation, or if you're doing it in video or in person. I do not do winning consultations over the phone. I want to see them. You're selling a visual product. So now there is no way that you have to, with Zoom or Skype or any way you can video with people, you can do that anyway, okay? You can talk to them face to face. I want to see that bride. I want to see her size. I want to see the way she looks, the way she holds herself. Is her bridal bouquet something that's going to, or the choice, going to match kind of who she is? But I find out a little bit more about her before we even connect. So there's a system all around that. And now, for instance, Melanie, back to what you said, you like do so much because your shop encompasses all those things. So I had a retail store, and I also had an event warehouse. I also had a shop inside of a hotel. And then, so at the retail store, the focus was on retail purchases and my front-end gift accessories. There was a process around selling that. But there was a process that was completely different when, I had to experience those other customers when they had certain special corporate events that they wanted. I had a different process for my subscription clients. So all of those, I had a different approach in how I marketed and then how I made the sales. So I had systems around that. Now, here's the important part. I really want you to focus on one system for whatever you're going to do first. Because when you're trying to do all of them at once, it fails. And it's really difficult. Yes, Barbara Pia, for sure. Tim Huckabee does have videos and things like that. So Barbara, you definitely want to check him out. Now, I can tell you some of my biggest struggles happened when I had a process or I had a sales thing that I wanted to do. For instance, when I was adopting into the subscription parts and I did hotel work, I hadn't really gotten that down and really just nailed it, right? And so it caused a lot of stress, not only for me, but it caused a lot of stress for my team because I didn't set up the system of how I was going to fulfill it. Now, that part is really difficult, right? Because you are trying to fulfill an order and you haven't set up your system. You haven't figured it out. Now, it's okay because sometimes you have to do something once or twice to figure it out, and then kind of you adapt. So that part's okay. But it's what happens when you decide that it's going to be, you haven't decided anything. And then it just causes a lot of havoc and it causes a lot of stress and dissension even within a team. So you want to really kind of dial back on that. So take one process at a time and figure out, okay, what does that look like? If I'm going to be doing events, then what's my process around that? What's my marketing process? What's my sales? What is my voice? How I'm going to talk about this out there to the world. Then move on to the next process. As soon as you got that as a well-oiled machine, move on to the next one. So the third system is the fulfillment system. Once you have sold your product, what is the process for delivering on your promise of that product? How do you onboard those new clients? Do you have a system of how you onboard a client? How do you create and deliver what you just sold them? I mean, that can be anything from a single arrangement to a whole event. You want to have them documented so that you can fulfill the sales. Have you ever thought about it? Have you ever taken it back and then figured out what it needs to be? So if you don't have something repeatable that someone else could step in and do it for you, if something happened to you, then that's where you need to kind of step back and think about it. So, you could have a detailed, documented process for how you're going to fulfill the sale. Then, because you have a documented process, it's critical because of that being repeatable. How are you going to? I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Like, we can take that a lot further because fulfillment equals so many other things. There's like, how do you accept the money? How do you collect the monies for something? That's a process in and of itself. you can create a process around all of these super important key areas. All three of them are very, very important. Now, I would venture to say that your fulfillment process is probably the one that is most honed, right? I think that makes it the biggest thing. When you have systems created for all of them, it's not set in stone. That's what I was talking about before. And so I think that when it's easier to adapt and to change or pivot something when you already have a system in place, because you can start to see earlier, there's something missing. There's a chink in this system that's not working anymore. For instance, COVID changed so many things, and there are still so many florists that haven't wanted to adapt or change or make any changes because they're still expecting business to be the same way. Before that, I would tell you that in our industry, after being in this industry for so long, it used to be that you could, if you had a brick and mortar shop, you could open, and it's like, if you build it, they will come. It is not that way now. It is not that way. If you build it, they won't come. You have to tell them. You have to shout it out. Hey, I'm here. It is so different, right? You have to change how you're thinking. And I would say that, all the wire services have made most regular flower shops, retail flower shops, sloppy, right? They haven't given up the ability to be able to figure things out, to realize, how am I going to have a voice? Mel, I see that you said your voice is your biggest problem because you're scared to talk. You know what? You don't even have to talk. It's the voice of what you want to say. You don't have to say it verbally. You can say it in your words and how you're doing your marketing online. It can be how you want to, again, like I follow the ACEs theory of sales, my social media content. It's called ACE and ACEs, right? So ACE is authority, C is connection, E is engagement, S is for sales, sell. And so that's how I fashion a lot of, like, when I don't have when I'm not like going and selling something in particular or something like that, and I'm wondering what it is, then I will just step back and I will go follow that system back again until I'm ready to, launch a product or talking about like that. So I will do, again, ACEs is authority post, a connection post, an engagement post, and a sales post, sell post. But what I'll do is I'll do ACE, ACE, ACEs, meaning I will only do a sales post every 10th post. So if you're only posting 3 times a week, it will be 4 weeks before you're selling something. How many of you are doing that? If you want to sell more, then you should post more. Let's talk about that. So I want you to think about your marketing system and what you want to have in place for 2021. If you're early on in your business and you want to test things out, that's totally cool. Make sure you're documenting what you're testing so that you can go back and say, okay, I see this is working. This isn't working. So how can I change it? How can I move it over? Having resilience and just being able to bounce back and say, okay, this isn't working. I'm going to shift. That's what's really going to get you. Also, if you're trying to figure out where it's at, I just want you to think again how you can move and make a change. You can make the change much faster if you have the system. Many of you are already doing the fulfillment, and I talked about that, but how are you going to stand out in that crowded space? How are you going to stand out? Sarah, I know that was one of your biggest questions. if I have a lot of people, out there, then how am I going to stand out? How is my business going to be different? This is how you're different. You're going to talk more about what you know how to do, what you are doing. You're going to connect more with them. You're going to talk a little bit more about yourself and connect. You're going to, engage with them, which shows a little bit more about how you are, and, engaging with some of your vendors that you like to work with, engaging with some of your customers when you're online. Those are the kinds of things. So, I want to go over, let's see, I'm going to look at a few of your questions and I'll talk about here. So I talked about Mel and your voice, and then it says, I have a sales system fulfillment, but not on the marketing, so I need to set up on that. Yes, you got to step up on that, Barbara. Now that you know, though, if you know how you're doing your sales and your fulfillment, then you can concentrate on your marketing. Just make sure that your marketing is matching your sales system, meaning that if you're going to start marketing for hotels and restaurants, but you don't have your sales system around that, and right now your sales system is about just getting personal orders, I would make sure that you have your marketing set up for your personal orders, because if that's already giving you business, that's great. Make sure you have marketing set up for that. But then when you're shifting, you're going to say, okay, now that I'm going to work on the marketing for this, what's my sales going to be like? What's my system for that going to be like? Meaning, if it's a subscription service, there's a little bit more differences around that. And then, let's see here. Pia, can I ask, is follow-up after event larger setup a good idea in terms of feedback? Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's one thing that I didn't touch on today, is when you're done the fulfillment stage, there's a whole other marketing stage that comes after that. And that's nurturing them to get either a repeat client or to get a referral. And there's another system that's kind of part of that. And most often, especially in retail, we're like, okay, we got that sale, thanks. And we're missing 80% of our repeat sales can be from our existing clientele. So, and again, it doesn't have to be directly from them. It can be just from a referral. So yes, there should be a system around how you want that done as well. So I think follow-up after that is huge. And then let's see, do people get fed up if you keep posting all the time though? No, they don't. The algorithm is set up so much that you could post every day and they won't see all those posts. I swear. And, it happens to me too, right? Because I think even about just posting in this group, I'm like, oh my gosh, I probably shouldn't just post again. But you know what? For me, the way I look at it is I want to share with you. I want to help you. And so if you're not asking me questions, then I'm going to just throw something out there so that, maybe this might help you today. Maybe this is something that you need today. Think about your customer. Maybe you're creating some fun things and they wouldn't even think about a beautiful wreath for their front door if you hadn't posted about the wreaths that you were making and what goes into those, or what kind of fresh products you had in to be able to put into these wreaths because they're just gorgeous right now. What if that got them excited? When some things are so rough right now, they're like, oh my gosh, I totally wish that I want to go get one of those wreaths. I need a pick-me-up today. Hey, Barbara, can I get a wreath from you? So don't worry about posting too much. The algorithm is that most likely they aren't going to see your posts that are coming out every day. So give an example of a typical post. Does it include money? Pia, tell me a little bit more about what you're asking. Are you talking about, am I selling on the post, on a sales post? Tell me what you're talking about there, and then I can elaborate a little bit more. So while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you One of the things that I have, two more things that I think are super helpful. Two different resources. One is inside the Floral Business Academy. I have a free lead magnet resource in there on how to create a successful, can't get it out, lead magnet for your floral business. This one is a great one, and it is just kind of gets you thinking about all the different lead magnets you might be able to create for your business. So jump on in there. If you haven't signed up for the Floral Business Academy, it's free as well at ChristyLopez.com. So you can go in there, you can check it out, download it, and there's one of the pages in there just gives you some prompts to think about, right? So I want you to check that out. Then I also have a new course starting on January 5th. That's my wedding marketing sales system that I created and used for 20 some years. And it took me 10 years to realize that I really did use a system and that's what I was using. And once I started creating it and I tweaked it, it helped me. It helped me for, it didn't matter if we were in times of recession or we were in times of abundance, I still had business coming in. So, and it really, I know it says my wedding sales system, but it really does encompass a marketing system and a sales system and a little bit on fulfillment. And it also talks about the end after, that follow-up nurturing as well. So I want you, that one starts January 5th. I have a full payment plan and I have a partial payment plan. If you have any questions about that, you can reach out to me on that. But it gave me a steady booking rate over the years of 90 to 95%. Solid. It was solid. And it was a repeatable process that I could teach my team, which, over 20 years, you can imagine I had way many different employees there, but I could teach each one each time. So it works. Now I'm going to get back to, let's see, Melanie says, can you check my Instagram account and see how I can improve? I am new in the city, no friends, no family. I've got the customers and if I want to see my business here in the next few months. Also, what's your impression of my website? Maybe it's too much for this moment. I really appreciate your feedback later on. So any of us that want to go on, Melanie, I will take a look at it too, give you some feedback. I'm happy to do that. So, but the first start is just that you're wanting to grow. You want to make sure that the investment that you've made is going to pay off. And I know doing this year with COVID really has been difficult, really. So, sorry guys, I have a tickle in my throat. So, one of the hardest things is dealing with, I dealt with 3 different recessions in 33 years. And there were times where I thought I would have to head to bankruptcy. I had to get small business loan, and I've had to deal with 9/11. At 9/11, overnight, 40% of my business was lost. I had no reduction in rent. Nothing like that came along for me. I applied for a small business loan. I didn't get it the first time. And then I went to a coach and a mentor, and he helped me reapply. And I was able to get a loan that helped me sustain through some months. But what I'm trying to say is every one of you can do it. And whatever is happening doesn't have to stay that way or be a negative effect on you. I know it doesn't feel like that. But it's true. And it really means that you need to focus on the business side of your business. You know that you are fantastic at your design. You grow in your design, but it's time to not treat it as a hobby, but to treat it as a business and get those systems in place. So I'm going to look here if there's a few more. Yes, okay, Pia. So I'm thinking I post a photo of a typical arrangement going out, or it could be a wreath. Now, do I just go, made this for a happy birthday, or do I want to make something someone's birthday special, call us? Okay, it depends on the day of and the type of post that you're trying to do. If you're doing an authority post, then you would want to say, just look at this. I love working with such and such flower in here. Can you tell how it's so beautiful and bright, right? So you're showing your authority because you know your design and you know your flowers. If you're trying to engage with people, then you're going to say, sent this out for so-and-so's, for Sally's birthday, or I sent this out for a favorite customer of mine, and I'm tagging them here, and you're going to say, I'm tagging you today. Tag me if you want to think about somebody special in your life today. It's not just about the flowers, it's about our emotions, right? So you're not selling anything, but you're engaging with people. They still know that you're selling something. Then, on an S day, a sale day is when you actually can talk about a special that you're selling or that something that you're doing. So what I'm trying to say is not every day should be a sale day. You're going to adapt your posts based on what you're trying to do. Does that make sense, Pia? Let me know in the comments if that works for you. And yes, both are fine. So, now, does the wedding sales system translate to other sales and events? It could translate for events, for sure. My lead magnet for that system that I'm sharing in that system and how you create it and how you broadcast it out is about pricing for weddings in general, but you can totally redo the price sheet for events and it would work just fine. So that's really key, okay? So I just want to make sure that you can understand that. Let me know if you understand if I made sense or if that is answering the question that you had. Okay, Pia, yes, great, I'm glad. Thumbs up. You can spread out that post. In fact, for you, Pia, if you're talking about that one arrangement, take 3 or 4 different snapshots of it so that you can use it one day, this angle, and then another day you can show the whole thing. And then another day you're showing a really, really tight part of it. So, okay. And Sarah, do you pay IG for ad posts? No, I do not. I do not. Now, there is a time and place for Facebook ads, but if you're just trying to hone in on a marketing system, you can do that without having to do ads. Fully believe that. If you were focused on your content and how you're bringing that out, you can do that. What is IG? It's Instagram. Now, the other thing too is when you're thinking about how you're doing this, you want to just really focus on your systems, having them in place, and then like, for instance, I'm working on a floral content calendar for florists so that it kind of gives you some idea prompts that are generated and around floral industry kind of things to be able to attract customers and things like that. So that will come out sometime next year. I know that this is a struggle because, let's face it, you're in the middle of doing everything for your business, and let's say you're doing stuff, you have a wedding, you don't have time to post. Scheduling is your friend. A scheduling app is your friend. Inside the Floral Business Academy, in the guide, there is a section that says tools I use. Go check that out because it's got all the tools that I use. It's the tool that I use for scheduling, how I do things in Canva, how I create stuff. I talk about all of that. So Okay, next one. Essentially, you were saying you can use the same arrangement for an authority post, an engagement post, and a sales post. Not on the same day, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. So you want to kind of divide up your content. Let's say, too, if you have a blog on your site, I don't know if you blog or not, or if you go live, let's say, or something like that, you can create your content and spread it out so that this week you're going to talk about the flowers that are in the arrangement. Next week, you're going to talk about the vessel or container that you used. The week after, you're going to sell the arrangement. Spread it out. Spread out your content. Maximize what you have. You don't have to go out and do 50 photo shoots a year to be able to have new content. And I know photo shoots are really cool. They're fun because we all like to be able to create because that's what we love to do, right? So I just want to encourage all of you. I know you've given me so much of your time today, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate everything that you were able to, hopefully take away from this. Let me know if you have any questions after. I'd be more than happy to answer them in the feed, so feel free to post. And again, feel free to post inside the Academy. If something comes up, and you're like, okay, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go with this. That's why I created this community. This community is not going to be for, talking about, is this pretty? Here, everybody, enjoy my arrangement. No, I don't want it to be about that. I don't want it to be a rant on wire services. I don't want it to be a place where you just come in and you complain, because mindset is everything. Mindset is everything. Okay? Where we are, where we put our mind to, what we think about, how we go about our day is how we're going to end up being in our business. So I want to encourage you to think positively, to realize that you are important. You're special. You have a special gift that everybody needs to have in their life. Okay? What you do is you create and exude emotion. So we work with the best medium we could possibly have. So thank you so much, everyone. I want you to thrive, and I want you to learn how to create those systems. Okay? So let me know if there's something that you want to talk about next week. I'll be going again live. I have some things up my sleeve that I'd love to talk about, but if you have something that's really, the more upvotes something gets, the more I'm going to be able to share it with you. Okay? So bye for now, and I will hopefully see you next week. Cheers.